France, but my relationship is here actually. I mean,
but in terms of raising issues, Sundance is head and shoulders ahead in terms of picking, or has been, in terms of having the record of picking the new issue, and therefore it's an event to be picked for Sundance.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I love about Sundance, and I've sent correspondence here many times, is that it really does try to address issues with its film. It is artistic also, but it's really important, I think, that Sundance curators find issues that are important to them. First off, let's talk about your movie, End of the Line, which was an extraordinary story. I mean, you actually created drama about fish being overfished around the world.
It's a fascinating story. We tell the story of, at its sort of narrative core, it's how the scientists discovered this incredible travesty, really. What's quite interesting,
the world's fish catches were going down and nobody knew.
The world's fish catches were going down and nobody knew.
Yeah.
No, they were. I mean, what was interesting...
Well, nobody been told.
But what was interesting was I really liked... without the science in this issue, you're nowhere. You're walking... You're fiddling around in a dark room.
So you took the science as the core.
I took the science as the core because that really is the story. The interesting thing about this science is it's much further, much
clearer, I would say.
It's about 10, 20 years behind climate science. I mean, people were modelling global climate much earlier than they were modelling global ocean. So actually, what these guys did was they said, let's look at the whole thing. Look at the whole thing over a long period of time. And then they said, why don't we examine how man operates as a predator within the system? Rather than looking at fish here and man here, they integrated the two and they examined them almost in a sort of a natural history way. And what Daniel Pauly came up with this amazing paper where he described how man behaves, and what man does is it targets the largest fish first and moves through the food chain down to the bottom, and this is the trajectory. This is the trajectory of the line. We are fishing down from the largest fish to the ones that eat them to the ones that eat them until we end up with going towards the microbial. And it was this downward line. I think it's a 45-degree angle line describes the line of the film. We tell the story of this line that is coursing down. It's everywhere we visit it, pretty much, until the line goes up at the end. We're all experiencing the same issues, same problems. Different places, different people, different fisheries.
Until the last decade, overfishing has been regarded as a local issue. It's an issue local to the Grand Banks or to Cornwall or to the west of Scotland or to west of Africa, with specific issues to that place and nowhere else, no take-home messages for anybody else. What these scientists started doing is saying, well, let's have a look at whether what's happening over here is also happening over there. Mm-hmm. And they discovered that, that it is. And it's the declines are something like 90% since 1950 on the major commercial stocks in many areas of the world. There are certain places that are very well looked after where it hasn't gone down, so there is hope. But in the places where they have, where just technology and relentless numbers of fishermen and lack of control of the process, illegality and poor management has gone on. Already, about 30% of the world's fisheries have gone down 90% in 50, 60 years. I mean, that is an astonishing figure. And when you start putting it all together, you ask yourself, how big is this problem? Well, globally, that's a huge food resource issue that no one has been talking about until this decade. And we're not going to have fish for the 1.2 billion people, whatever it is, who depend for at least 20% of their diet on fish. We're not going to have fish for those very poor people in Africa. We're not going to have very nice food for us. There's going to be no very big tunas left. And amazingly, on the day we arrived in Sundance, we discovered in a paper in Science what we had already suspected, which was that there was an overlap between overfishing and the global warming issue. because, amusingly enough, fish poo puts alkali back into the oceans, and it enables the oceans to recover from the carbon in the atmosphere, too much carbon in the atmosphere.
Right.
So
What would be acidity?
massive
The acidity is compensated for by the alkaline in the calcium carbonate in the fish excrement. So if you take the fish away, that balance is upset. I don't know whether anyone is. I mean, I don't know what happens to an ocean when there's a when it continually acidifies. Does it reach a point where
Yes, it does. The science on acidification of the ocean is much newer than the science on global warming, but it is by far the scariest. And Barbara Bloch in Congress was very hot on this one, because it is the undeniable problem that putting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is causing. Lots of people hum and ho about how much effect it will have on the climate. Obviously it will have some effect, but how much is still an issue in debate. But acidifying the sea is going to have certain effects. Now, nobody knows exactly where it will go, but the pH level of the sea has been completely even for 60 million years. Nothing is adapted